Okay, guys, ready for your Kung Fu lesson?
Take it in, dish it out.
We're on.
Hey, so I want to hear you guys talk about this. This is super popular right now in the bodybuilding world. I don't know which IFBB bodybuilder started this or not, but they do. Have you seen how they do the rows? How they do like a bent over row?
No, dude, I haven't been in that kind of gym in a while.
So
show me.
Justin's knowledge of bodybuilding.
this is what it looks like.
I'm on the elementary level.
They get in this row position and it's.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know what that is right there?
Really?
You know what you're doing?
Yeah.
So he's limiting engagement of the bicep and getting less scapular retraction. It's a lat row.
Yeah.
It's almost like you know what that looks like? I've seen this before. It's like you're emulating the straight arm pull down standing.
I see.
And will you feel that more in the lats? Perhaps. Is that a great recruitment pattern? No, I don't think so at all. I think that can contribute to forward shoulder. I think if you do that version, but you have good scapular traction, you've already got good biomechanics, then maybe you can add that variation. But the traditional dumbbell row is superior.
Yeah.
It's got to be superior.
Well, I feel like when you do a
Let's
movement,
do some lat pull downs.
you can't quite control as much, or you can't get as much weight, right? You have less muscles that are
but
being
you're getting
recruited.
less scapular retraction from that as well.
It's a shorter range of motion also.
You've taken the benefit of a dumbbell row kind of out and turned it more into a specific lat exercise.
This is my problem with things like that. It's taken away from what the intention was of a very good exercise, which you're about to demonstrate.
So I wouldn't even call that a dumbbell row. I would say that's something different.
Like a lat row.
It's different.
Maybe like
I like the lat row, calling it that, because it is when you can feel it when you do it. You can definitely, and it also starts to take your traps and your rhomboids
out of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can feel it all.
So I would never replace a dumbbell row, which I'll demo the dumbbell row. I'd never replace it with that, but if you want to add something like that, that's fine. Sure. A traditional dumbbell row is one of the staple back exercises you could do. It's one of the first exercises I teach clients after I teach them how to retract their scapula. So I may start them off on a seated row because it's easier to pull the shoulders back. Mm-hmm. Once they get past that, this is the next step. And I teach them this before I move on to a barbell row, because a barbell row requires more stability, stronger lower back, better hip hinging to get in position. This, I can use the bench for support. But make no mistake, dumbbell row, one of the best muscle building back exercises you could possibly do. So let me demonstrate some of the form here. Your traditional dumbbell row, you're going to start with your knee on the bench and your hand on the bench. Now the key, before I do the row, is to have good posture. So you can see here, I'm not rounded in my back. I'm pressing my chest out and I have good.
Just keeping it nice and braced and controlled.
Nice braced posture. I want my weight to be on both my foot and my knee and my hand. And it's roughly, it's a kind of an even balance, maybe a little bit more on my knee than everything else, but it's pretty even. So I'm not way over here, and I'm not sitting way back on my knee, and I'm not.
You want to notice how your body tries to carry you in different directions, or it tries to flex the arm.
Yes.
You want to notice all these things to make sure you're nice and secure. That way you can focus on what you need to do. With the weight.
Now I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the issues people have with this position. Sometimes it bothers their wrist to place their wrist on the bench in this position, especially when I'm holding heavy weight. If that's the case, there's two things you can try. One is you could try gripping the bench with your hand. This will flex the forearm flexors, which support the wrist in the opposite direction.
More tension is going to help.
And it tends to take pressure off the wrist up here. The second thing you could do is you could use a fist. And the third thing you could do is simply grab the side of the bench. If you have wrist problems, if you don't, this is absolutely fine.
Which I just want to, if you do have wrist problems, I don't think that you should just crutch it and not address that either. That should be a signal to you.
Yeah, I'm just, exactly.
Yeah, if you to get you through that exercise, like you notice that, okay, that's fine, do that, but then that should be a flag to you that
maybe we should bring the load down a little and really concentrate.
Start to do some some priming for your wrist and forearms before you were to come into an exercise. So and more than likely that's going to be somebody who probably sits on a computer all day long and they're completely they're overactive. Yeah, magic.
That's what it looks like.
I knew
so hand on the bench, good posture. I'm going to grab the dumbbell, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to exaggerate the range of motion a little bit, because if you have good strength and stability, you want to exaggerate a little bit. There is a little bit of a rotation with a dumbbell row that you can benefit from. So I've seen people do this real rigid, which isn't wrong, but I'm really eliminating some of the benefit of allowing a little bit more
stretch
of a rotation.
Stretch it out all the
and
way.
you can see here, I'm letting my shoulder drop, I'm dipping my body just a little bit, and as I'm pulling up, I'm pulling my shoulder back and rotating just a little bit.
The key when somebody does this though is notice how he's keeping himself still his spine is staying still. It's not going all over the place. He's just allowing his lats to stretch all the way out and let the shoulder drop down.
Right, and I'm getting that good full range of motion.
Still has great core integrity.
You'll get really good mid-back activation with that reaching down and reaching up. Now, here's another tip here. Okay. If you can come around this end here, Doug. Some of you guys who get really strong and can handle, because you get to the point where you can handle a lot of weight with a dumbbell. This is just something I picked up. It's easier to grip a dumbbell when you grab it towards the front, and I can let it tilt a little bit. This is just a little tip I picked up years ago that lets me hold on to a heavier dumbbell versus holding it right in the center. So I can do this. So if I'm handling a 120 pound dumbbell, you'll see me grip it like this, and it's the same movement. It just tilts the dumbbell down and allows me to hold on to it a little bit.
And you can always do, I mean, maybe you guys do this or not, but I also add a little bit of rotation sometimes by starting a horizontal position and then pulling it in.
Well, that's how we have it in map screen.
So exactly. So just little things like that to kind of bring a little bit of element of functionality to that already awesome exercise.
Excellent. Some things to look out for. You don't want to be round in the back. You don't want the shoulder to remain forward. See how I'm rowing there, but my shoulder's forward.
Which I'm glad you brought this up, because go back to that. This is the most common, is the bicep row. You know what I'm saying? I see people rowing but keeping their shoulder forward, and they're just pulling up with their arms the entire time.
And you're actually going to create an imbalance if you do it that way. So it's real important that you get this shoulder. In fact, I've had people just do this motion before getting them to do the full row, just to teach them how to get that shoulder back. The second thing that I see a lot of is shrugging. So you'll see rowing here with the shrug. And again, that's going to create an imbalance. So shoulder down and back, a little bit of rotation, excellent exercise.